Greetings everyone, I hope you're having a good time. It's winter, finally some snow. And yeah, it's the season of the night here. It's dark, we're headed towards the longest nights, and the new cycle of light will be born again. And this time of the year, Christmas time and all that, it's also a time for, being together and sharing love and all that. So I thought, for myself also, for what it's worth, to record a personal video about how I met my wife. And the point is that sometimes in my life, when you have the faith within you, even though things seems to be going against you, it's like testing until you kind of realize for what that hardship was meant for. That's why I often have this attitude of not neglecting what's happening, but also realizing, there's some point to it, and it's important to be aware and present. And I think the only way to reach that is to have experienced those situations yourself. So 12 years ago, it's a lovely environment here. Look, small creek, a forest park. Anyway, 12 years ago, I was in India. And I was traveling from the north to the south. From the Himalayas to the southern parts of India. I was in the Leh in the Himalayan mountains. I was in the southern mountains, experiencing all sorts of environments. So it was really interesting, and I planned to stay for a half year, I think. But it all came to an end in the middle of India, in a place called Hampi, that has wonderful ancient architecture. Well, what happened there was that somebody broke into the room that I shared with a traveler, and he had, I think, just gone outside or something and not locked the door. So somebody had come in, and I think I put my pouch where my important stuff are on my backpack. Like the only time I ever did that. I always kept it kind of hidden and safe and secure. It got lost. My money, my passport, everything. So suddenly I was a nobody with long hair, and I was very brown because of the sun. So what to do? And it was really a horrible experience, and I remember the feeling of just realizing, I'm in deep trouble. And a certain kind of calmness took over, and I borrowed somebody paid for a bus ticket to Mumbai. So I thought, well, if I get there to the Swedish consulate, everything will be fine. But India is made up of republics. A document from one republic is not valid in another republic. So when I came to Mumbai, a fellow traveler let me let me be in the room while I was taking care of those paperworks and all that. And the document was invalid. As I went to the police station, and the policeman laughed at me and said, "Sir, this is from another republic, it's not valid here." And I said, "Well, what can I do? Because you have to prove that you have lost your stuff." And he recommended me to go to the train station, to the police station there, and come up with a story. So actually to lie to another policeman that I lost it in the train station. And you know, the worries and angst were present in my body then, but you have no choice, so you're kind of focused. And I did that. I went to the train station with all the armed guards and all that, and very, very rude police officers, very nervous, because if I got that wrong, you know, if he suspected something or for some reason, whatever, you know, I was in deep trouble. So I remember sitting there in front of that officer. My hands were kind of like shaking, I think. And I was supposed to write a letter. And I asked, like, so how do you conduct a formal letter in India, sir? And he, of course, you know, made fun of me and was really, really rude, like, you stupid Westerner, you don't know how to write. You know, he had to go through that first to humiliate me. But then he kind of directed me to write the letter. And when that was done, I think that was the hardest part. But more problems were ahead. So 12 years ago, that's where I was at on this day. And you know, I can remember when that roommate was about to leave, and I didn't have any place to go. I didn't have any passport, money, anything, and you can't get Western Union transfer without any documents. And this was before apps and all this sort of things we have today. So I remember that day I was really, really alone and kind of let go of everything. I was really realizing I was in deep trouble. So I went to a phone booth and called somebody I usually don't call for whatever reason. And they were all the other part was really relaxed and back home or whatever. And I didn't say anything about my problem. So I noticed a girl, a beautiful girl, and like my whole intuition said to me, well, go to her. And my kind of smart mind said, you know, this is not the time to, I don't know, be flirting or picking up somebody or, you know, engaging in something like that. But there was a deeper meaning to it. So I did walk up to her and had a chit chat, and it turned out she was European, but her boyfriend was from Mumbai, and they knew where to find a place that I could be sleeping at without any passport documents. And you know, you pay after your stay, so like I need a place to be, so that problem got solved. And meanwhile, you know, those days were really, really strange, like having the Mumbai blues. And the consulate, the Swedish consulate, was very suspicious of me. And it was really many visits and many phone calls. And they were really rude, like the embassy of India in Sweden. They really didn't want to accept me as a Swedish citizen. So it was crazy times. And, you know, to get the money transfer also was impossible. So I was walking around in Mumbai, and there was this jewelry store. And it said Western Union. And I thought to myself, well, you know, I already tried other shops with a negative answer, so how can I get money for the plane ticket and all that? Yeah. So in this jewelry store, I saw the Western Union symbol and also the Islamic symbol. So I went in and talked to him, and for the first time somebody looked at me and said, "What's your father's name?" Because I greeted him with Salam Alaikum. And I said, "My father's name is Muhammad Ali." And he was like, we'll see if that's the case. So somehow my father was able to send me money. And during those days in between, there was this Polish guy who was really kind enough to borrow me, and he said, you know, pay me back when you get back home, no worries. It wasn't a big sum, but like enough to be eating for a few days and paying for a few nights. So eventually I did it. I got my pink passport from the Swedish consulate, and for the last night they were always kind of like asking people to be part of the Indian movies, which I really dislike, that genre, Bollywood. And so I said, yeah, sure, why not, to kill the last night. It was supposed to be between a certain time, so I didn't mind. I brought along a South African traveler who also had some problems with a broken leg from a motorcycle accident and whatnot. So we went there. They dressed up us as they think Westerners are dressed, and we waited, and we really did nothing. Time went on, and of the 20 people who were there, you know, nobody reacted when the time was about to end. And I've been so humiliated in India. I was so angry. So I started to make a scene, you know? Like, time is up. Where's our food we should have gotten? Where's our money? You know, I think they gave you like, I don't know, 500 rupees. Just a symbolic thing. And, you know, he was like, yeah, no, nothing is happening. We're gonna get your food and money, and nothing happened. So finally, you know, I made a scene, got really angry there, let my frustration out. The actors were looking at me, a huge scene. And my fellow South African, a white guy, he joined in. So there were two of us. And you know, in the industry of film industry, they can't be like rude and do something, because that will give them bad reputation. But the Indian police officers and so can do anything. So we got our food, got our money, and I, before I left India, managed to also humiliate the Bollywood industry. So finally I was on the plane back to Europe over a very, very icy winter that year in Europe. Everything was white. Landed in Paris, and from there to Sweden. Everybody was dressed like me now, kind of black. I was there in my sandals, my kind of colorful shirt, without anything really, just my kind of passport and money in my underwear. I didn't know where to put it. And yeah, but there was lots of things happening in between, which are, you know, too long-winded, but also interesting, but I'll not go into that. So upon coming back, I had my sister booked a ticket for a concert. So like, if we managed to go there, that would be a good thing. And I did make that date, and we went to the show. And there at the show was a girl who was supposed to go with some friend, but they didn't manage or something. So me and my wife to be, you know, met, talked, danced, befriended, and from there, 2 children, 12 years, and also the realization now of the gratitude I feel for, you know, being with somebody, like growing up in a sense, becoming a man with somebody. You know, some people, some women can wait for a man who's already, you know, a man, to say, like he has money and he's got everything settled down. but we kind of grew up together, and yeah, we've been doing a lot of things. We have been traveling. We have taken us through the last 2 years of craziness in the world and all that. And in retrospect, I'm very grateful to find somebody from that kind of really horrible situation I was in, and spending my life with her, maturing together, creating problems together, and making children together, raising children, and all that. So this season, around these days when it's kind of like wintry around me, I always think about that time, how really, really present I was, how at a moment I accepted my faith of being imprisoned in India or whatever. A long-haired, very brown man claiming to be this or that without any documentation in a country of 1 billion. It's easy to get lost, I think. Or the process would have been really much longer than it was. And through that, kind of my whole new life was born, which wasn't really apparent to me at the moment, but in retrospect, it's a beautiful story. And I feel like sharing that story because it's about love, and this is the season of love. I think it's good to have warm thoughts, being tender, and showing appreciation now when it's cold and dark. So I've also done like a long post on my site years ago, which kind of tells this story, but also gives some practical advice for people who have lost their passports or find themselves in that kind of situation. But today I think it's much easier to, unless you lose your device, your phone with all the apps and valid documents. And another detail I kind of forgot was a photocopy of a passport when you're traveling somewhere is crucial. I think I still have that and some documents. And running around in Mumbai to all these places, all the Indian bureaucracy, and sorting out paperwork, I mean, that's really a book in itself. But those small decisive moments kind of saved a lot for me. The paper copy of the passport, the Polish guy who borrowed me money and he got it back as soon as I got back home. I was really grateful. Those kind of people you meet who just see you're in trouble, they trust you, they offer you help, and they wish you good luck. And that man with the Western Union office and the jewelry store who made it possible to get, for me to receive money for the plane ticket and all that. Yeah. So if I ever go to India again, I know where I would like to be, and there's always this kind of yearning of further exploring places, because if you have been somewhere once, it's kind of not enough. If you sort of liked it and there was some experience there that was good. Yeah, so from that, all that craziness that happened then, a family basically was born from me and my wife, and how we met and the timing and everything. And along life, those situations of crazy bureaucratical things and dealing with overhanging stuff, it was a good lesson learned to apply in life. So for this season, you know, I encourage everybody to think about things that meant a lot to you, cherish them, things around you, friends, family, most important, those people who are loving and understanding of you, those who actually really care about you, and you know, who you care about also. Because for myself, this time of year, it's always a good time to kind of plan the direction for the next year to come and set the vibe and the energy, and have a good year. So 20 minutes, but in my mind this video was just so fast. All right, if you listen through, thank you for watching, and all the best.